So welcome, I'm Kristen Grubbs, Planning Director, and I'll turn it over to John.
So let's call the meeting to order, May 28th, 26th at 12:01 p.m. I think we could defer it till after Dave Reed. So let's get our guest on board here, and then we can circle back and do the minutes when Dave's done, and we get the noodle when the noodles are delivered.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, thanks, John. And thanks, everyone. So my name is Dave Reed. I've worked with Kristen for a while, and then before that, Martha Taylor, and I've worked with Jerry for years. So as a picture for 2009, 2010, when we built this kiosk up in Salisbury, in the Salisbury Trail, and he's clearly the leader in the North. And I my day job is as vice president of medical oncology at Dana-Farber in Boston. But this trail building planning work is a nice diversion from oncology. So I've really leaned in as a North Shore resident to try to help, coordinate all the towns. But prior to living in Massachusetts, I lived in Pennsylvania. And there, the trail building or organizing was a little bit easier because it was done by the county. But the only reason you know what county you're in is in Massachusetts is if you're in trouble with the law, because that's how the court system is. And so it's really town by town. And you folks are part of the biggest gap, but really, first, thank you all for pressing on with this work. It's hard work. And Kristen, thank you so much I know you have a huge job and sometimes do this on the weekends. So we appreciate it all. Jerry's seen this presentation before, but give an overview of the Border to Boston Trail, see if there's any questions, set the big picture and also the regional picture of really, which is between, the 5 New England states between Portland, Maine and New Haven, Connecticut, which is about 400 miles. Within our lifetimes in a few years, that trail is going to be 80% off road. So I can talk a lot about that. But the main part of this presentation is to focus on the Border to Boston Trail. Kristen, can I share my screen?
I think you should be able to. Let me know
Okay.
if you can't.
Stay tuned, team. I'm not seeing my desktop there. Sorry. I think I have too many windows open. And I'm a volunteer. I'm not even like Jerry and Coastal Trails Coalition. They've done a good job as a separate 501(c)(3). Border to Boston Trail doesn't take any money from anything. When I developed the brochure and maps, Debbie, who you might know in Newbury, um, Debbie, she did the map and I made her a tabletop because I'm a woodworking. So that's how we getting this done. I'm so sorry, I'm not seeing my.
Hi, Annie.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for joining. I know you have a busy day. Yeah. We're just getting going and invited Dave to share, but can you find the?
So what I'm gonna do, I think, is open my presentation and I think then that'll show. So.
Can we do quick introductions while
Sure.
we're waiting for the slides?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay, that'd be awesome. No. Annie, do you want to introduce yourself and then you can meet all the members?
Harris, with Essex Heritage, and we have been associated with the Border to Boston Rail Trail for it's over 25 years. We just try to help where we can, help bring people together, help get advocacy going forward. Occasionally, we've been able to find grants for it that we haven't seen any recently, but we're just here to try to help as much as we can. It's obviously a very important asset for this region and for the East Coast.
Great. All right. You guys seeing that now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna admit Sean, or I think, great. Okay, we're gonna do, I'm gonna start from the north and Jerry's regions, but first, these are our partners, Mass DOT, MAPC, Essex Heritage, East Coast Greenway. So we all get together on approximately quarterly calls to see what the various statuses are of some of the trails. Some of the trails are built, as you'll see in different towns. Some of the trails are in progress under construction, and some of the trails are still in planning, as you folks are. So this is our map that we developed. And this is a 70-mile trail, again, from the New Hampshire border. It doesn't go straight, obviously. We picked the safest routes and tried to stay on the rail trails as much as possible. There's a lot happening. This map is actually slightly outdated, which is a good problem to have, meaning that more trails getting built. But this is what we're going to cover. And up north, as you see, that's the biggest gap. So a little bit of the history is in 2008, we tried to build the trail. We were naive. We got a little Bobcat in Topsfield and tried to take rails out of the ground. Well, that didn't work because the end of the Bobcat went up. And so we realized we needed to get professional help and grants. And then we got an organization called Iron Horse Preservation involved that helped us. One of the things we did do was redeck the Ipswich River Spillway in 2009. This is all volunteers. And then we redecked the Ipswich River Bridge after that. Then after that, in Topsfield, we started getting grants where we could buy some stone dust. And at first, it seemed like it was wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow, but the trail was starting to come together, and we were getting it so it connected to the Ipswich River Bridge. Then we started, the trail started getting longer. I made a few signs in my wood shop so people knew what town they were in. And now the trail. So this is the gap, as we mentioned. So if you're up in Salisbury, Jerry knows where this is, right off of 286, and in Seabrook, right at the line, there's a nice granite marker that's where you enter Massachusetts. And this is just a side path to get down to the trail, which is only about a quarter mile long. The trail in Salisbury, again, thanks to Jerry, is beautiful. This is the bridge that goes over Route 1 in Salisbury. So anything is possible. Think big. These are expensive, but with the right advocacy, it can happen. This is the beautiful boardwalk over the wetlands. And I think, Jerry, this is 18 feet wide, or it's plenty wide.
Yeah, 13 feet wide.
13 feet, yeah. So it's really, really wide, but it's beautiful. Allowed us to get. So now next in Newburyport, all of the trail art, as you folks have probably seen. And this is thanks to Jordy Vining. And now the major gap that we're trying to work with Kristen and you folks on. So this is really the biggest gap. It's about 19 miles. And right now, the East Coast Greenway map takes you on the road, but we're trying to come up with the getting all of the towns. And each town has a different issue. I think thanks to Kristen, Newbury and Byfield is pressing along. Georgetown has some easement issues that they're hopefully going to work through. And I have a similar meeting to this in Boxford on June 3rd to help them nudge them along, or at least give them an update and motivation. So all of this map looks very familiar to everyone on this committee. Then after that, this is some of the Danvers section. I showed you Topsfield. This is Wenham. We built these kiosks in 2015, a much smaller version than the one that we built up on the Salisbury Trail. But we tried to have a panel on what was the local history. And in Wenham, they were known for their ice harvesting industry. In Danvers, it was the shoe industry, etc. And there's a swamp walk on the Wenham Danvers line. If you haven't been there, that's worth checking it out. When we get to Peabody, this is the Lowell Street intersection. This is very dangerous, of course, very narrow. This is going out to construction this year. And on Monday, June 8th, we're going to find out what day it's going out to construction. So this is also the project where they're going to be putting a bridge over Route 1 connecting two parts, the east and west part of the Independence Greenway. And this picture was just taken about a month ago in April 9th. So this is at the end of the Independence Greenway on the way to Leahy Clinic is on your right in the North Shore Mall, and this is on the way to Peabody Center. And the construction started. This is another trail, part of the trail, and the further you go up this trail, you cross a couple of streams, and they're putting bridges in, and it's really, really beautiful. It keeps you off Route 114, which is dangerous for bicycles. So the trail is coming together, and this was several years in planning. There's a section in Salem that still needs to be worked on to the train station, but further into Salem, you can see the trail along Canal Street, and it's really kind of beautiful, the Salem bike path. Here it crosses Route 114 again into Marblehead, and the Marblehead Trail is beautiful. It's right along the water. That bridge you see there is going to be replaced. It's too narrow. It has bollards, etc. So they're at the 75% design stage. And it's interesting, the planner who I mentioned, Brendan Callahan, who was in Peabody, is now the planner in Marblehead because he lived there. So he's got 3 different projects on the trail in the works. They've already done the construction on some of the intersections. They had a pedestrian fatality a few years ago because the sight lines were not good. So they've really started with the intersections first, and now they're going to start on the trail surface. I get into Swampscott. Only a small section of the Swampscott Trail has been done, but it's beautiful. And next in Swampscott, they'll be putting a bridge over the road. The Swampscott Trail connects, I think, combined 3 of the elementary schools together, and the trail goes right by the elementary school. So there's a lot of demand. There was a lot of opposition to the trail for a few years in Swampscott, but they've had several votes, and the town is in favor of it. They've seen, I think, what the trail is like in Marblehead and Salem, and they want their piece of it too. Now, then you get down to the Northern Strand, and this is just outside of Nahant Circle. This is the Northern Strand extension, which is being constructed now. That is taking you to the Northern Strand Community Path. And some of these photos, going through Lynn, you'd never know you're in Lynn because on the left, there's also water. So there's water on both sides of you. Great overlooks and granite benches, but they did a beautiful job through Lynn. They put a bridge over the Saugus River, which is also beautiful. So this is all Northern Strand now. This is the Northern Strand in Revere. They put a bocce court in. Interesting. So the people from the neighborhood off to the left can go down and play bocce. But again, the trail's right on the water. And then after Revere goes into Malden, they put some trail art. This is their zip code on the trail. More trail art in Malden. This is in Everett. Again, you never know you're in Everett. This is another boardwalk going over some wetlands, and it's very wide. It's probably as wide as the Salisbury one. And this goes out to the casino. This part of the casino is beautiful. This is considered the prettiest part of the East Coast Greenway because they change the flowers out all the time. So, and they have a lot of art there. So this is the Encore Casino. Right at that end, you see the guy fishing off to the right there. Right at that end, that is where they're going to start putting the bridge over to Assembly Square Mall and Orange Line train station. Let me see if I have a better picture of that. Here's a rendering of the trail, and this is actually an early rendering. Since the Kraft family or Kraft group decided to put a soccer stadium in Everett, they have widened this trail to, I think, 18 feet. And this is like a 12-foot version of it. So there's actually a wider trail, but the trail will go from Everett. You can actually, this was taken early on, this rendering. You see the cranes building the casino in the background. Casinos, of course, all built. We can all see it from our cars when we're coming up 93 or Route 1. And then there's the commuter rail, and this pedestrian bike path will weave underneath. Right now, the casino has a shuttle bus, I think, leaving every 15 minutes from Assembly Square and Sullivan Square to get to the casino with workers and people who want to partake in the gambling. But this will help a lot of them who want to bike over or just walk from the Orange Line station over. So that's the speed dating version of the Border to Boston Trail. So I pared it down so we could have some questions. But again, it's part of the 15-state East Coast Greenway. I've been lucky enough to bike every mile of it. I did a week a year at a time from 2011 to 2019. We finished just before the pandemic. That's my brief presentation, Kristen. I hope it's what you had hoped for, and happy to take any questions. And most importantly, I'm going to stop sharing now. Just please press on with your advocacy and your work, so we can get a beautiful trail in Newbury. I can tell you, once it's built, the residents won't want it to leave. So we found that, and we had a lot, opposition, the usual opposition in Topsfield. People are going to cycle off with my flat panel TV or crazy stuff, or it'll bring out the child molesters. It's actually self-policing the trail. So.
Thank you so much, Dave. That's really fun to see all the towns and think about sort of, one trail, one regional resource, but the sort of unique opportunities that each town has with partners, like the casino and the flowers or the artwork or, whatever the local, unique things are, sort of bringing attention to those through this connection, right? It's just super inspiring. So thank you.
I forgot to mention the Mystic River Bridge bids are due June 24th. And that will be a destination. That'll be something that people in Salisbury and Newburyport and Newbury want to bike down and see. It's going to be the longest bike bridge in New England. So over the Mystic River.
Where do those funds come from, Dave?
Those are they're I think 80% federal and 20% state. So it's through Mass DOT.
Oh.
And the bipartisan infrastructure bill had a lot of funds for bike ped projects.
And over the years, MassDOT has really come around and become much more advocates for trails. So, when they can, they have been putting up money to match and stuff. So, that's been a happy thing over the last 20 years to see them much more supportive. Still, it's a long process, but still they're more supportive.
Right. They have said that they can't fund every trail that comes across their desk, but they've made the Border to Boston Trail a priority because it connects so many towns. So, it's just really cool from the northern strand that ends at the Market Basket in Lynn to get to Nahant Beach. They wanted it to go through neighborhoods, so they made that protected lane bike path that you saw. They put the Linway on a road diet in that section because it was so wide and the cars were going so fast. So they took a lane of that and made a protected bike lane. And there's still plenty. You never know they took a lane because there's plenty of room for cars and never really much traffic there.
That's, could we do the same kind of thing on Scotland Road if you're familiar with?
Yeah, I am familiar with Scotland Road. I mean, that's one of the things to propose if you can't or not, we're not allowed to go through the Martin Burns, et cetera. So,
I'd still like to do that. I
yeah.
think that's more natural, but we always, when the thought comes to building bridges, I think we always kind of say, well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I've given up. Like I never thought the Mystic River Bridge would happen but it's out to bid.
Mm.
They're just and the state's realizing that with all of the traffic on Route 99, in Rutherford Ave, that a wider bike ped bridge is going to ease that up. So they've done traffic studies.
So you've given up on bridges. It's because
No,
we'd
they
have to
No, no,
happen.
we'd have
Yeah.
to span 8 lanes of 95 to get to Newburyport. I just don't.
Right.
I don't see that being practical.
But there are examples of bridges. It's quite
Yeah.
extraordinary, Dave. I mean,
So there's one if you drive north to Maine at the about 500 yards after the Kennebunk um
Yeah,
rest stop.
rest stop. Yep.
They put a
Mhm.
wide bridge over there and that was done by Maine DOT.
so
So
how wide is the one in Peabody going to be?
I think that's 15 feet, the one in Peabody.
Okay.
Yeah, over Route 1. So as more and more, I mean, I remember, when Jerry dropped his bridge in, I went up at midnight when they dropped that in. I remember at Low Street, when that bridge was put in, that was years ago. That was, 10 or 15 years ago or more. So, if you take the long game in this and don't give up, you do get your bridge or your trail or something. So.
And not for nothing, but there's Pingree Farm Road, which is not very far from here, connecting the Georgetown State Forest over to Rowley. It crosses 95. It's exactly really what we would be patterning. So it is possible. I mean, it's a long time ago. I understand.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be, it's no small lift, but it's
No.
worth
But
looking at.
There's a lot of support because this, you guys are a very important part of the trail. That would be wonderful to see more of it get done.
Yeah.
You have beautiful trail north of you and nice, good trail below you, south of you.
You're right. Yeah, Annie brings up a good point. So north of the Massachusetts border, they already opened last year. They opened up a 8-mile section between Hampton and Portsmouth. They just opened up a 2-mile section a couple of weeks ago in Hampton, in kind of southern Hampton. They already have plans from where Jerry finished his trail in Salisbury to in Seabrook. That construction, I think, is not going to start for 4 years. I think it's 2030. But sometimes what happens if another project is not ready, it can go earlier. So they'll want to get it to, 100% design. So, and then north of New Hampshire, tell me if this is too much information, but you have the Eastern Trail up there, which goes from South Portland all the way to Kittery. That's a 60-mile trail, which is about halfway done. So again, between Portland, Maine, and then New Haven, Connecticut, it's about 400 miles and it'll be 80% off-road.
Was there a strategy? I mean, I've always had the sense that we have to wait our turn. So Topsfield to Georgetown, Georgetown to Byfield,
Yeah.
in that order, as opposed to, I get a little antsy. Like, could we build the Byfield section to nowhere? Just like, here it is, Georgetown, you got your issues.
Yeah.
Let's put in the 2 miles of Byfield just to say we've done something.
Yeah.
And the community, of course, could use it for walking and cycling and what have you, but it would give us good motivation because the Newburyport one's going to be a challenge.
Right. Yeah. You can, and building a trail to nowhere, for lack of a better term, does act as a catalyst for, the connections to be made. Like what I think, again, what Jerry did in Salisbury, without him doing that, I think that really helped the Rockingham Valley Planning Commission plan for the Seabrook section, because it just stops there. So.
Right.
Yeah, I think definitely just trying to get trail where, get pieces of it, even if they don't connect at this point. That puts more pressure on both ends to go forward.
So what would the process be? We'd have to change the project. The project as designed is Georgetown to Byfield. If we wanted to break that off and go just do the Byfield section, would that be a step back, Kristen? I just.
Yeah, I mean, the construction funding's on the tip as a joint project, so that
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that, but it's,
Yeah, you were.
we can ask the
close.
question.
Hmm.
You were really close to having something happen because the money is programmed for 2027
Yeah.
and to build it. So you just have to get the design done and the right of way done, and then it'll happen for both towns.
Yeah, so that's an important, when it's on the tip, I'm going to change my answer. You actually don't want to change it because that
Okay.
gives them any excuse to take it off or delay.
Okay.
So
this
I
has
would,
been building for a long time, and you have to complete this path in order to
Right.
get the thing done.
Yeah.
It
So
is, I mean, I think the point is not a bad one though, John, because there are different issues in the towns. And obviously this is exactly why the project has been bundled and separated in different segments, because every segment has different issues. But yeah, we're not a county. We are in each of our small municipalities trying to push forward. I mean, I think the people in this, those of you who have signed up to be on this committee are, we really want to get stuff going, but there just continue to be roadblocks that just delay. Like there's just waiting for people to take the next step that's not in our control. It's frustrating.
yeah. And how often, well, Kristen, the reason it's moving is thanks to you and the committee. So nothing happened for a long time. So it's a credit to you. But how often do you meet? Who's your project man? Is it Joe Yu or
At MassDOT.
yeah? How often does he join you guys on these calls, or how often do you talk to him?
He answers the phone when I give him a call.
Yeah.
He hasn't joined.
So I'm going to lean into him and his boss a little bit and just say,
Dave, have you seen the letter that was written to Mass Highway earlier this month?
Yes, I shared that with Dave and Andy.
Yeah, I did see that. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we have had no response from anyone on that. And I just was checking in with Georgetown to say, it's a joint letter. So I think we need to be hand in hand about the next, how long do we wait? And who do we contact first when we haven't heard anything for almost 3 weeks now?
Would you want to ask them to give a report, ask them to give a report on the call next Monday?
Yeah, I don't want to, I might do that, but I would give him a heads up in advance because I don't want to. So Kristen, with your permission, I would forward that letter to Michael Trepanier and see if we can get some movement there. But I want to get your permission before I do.
Yeah, he received it.
Okay, yeah. Well, I can ask him.
I can just show you the folks at MassDOT who received it. I mean, it was addressed to Carrie LaValle, but we had Michael and Joe and several other MassDOT folks. So
He's
it's,
the boss.
I
He
haven't,
doesn't-
I just, it is, I'm happy to have people asking us. And I also think that they will respond because I know they are supportive. And, you know, you're just kind of juggling how busy everybody is and what makes
Right.
sense in terms of nudging.
So if you can ping them again, say just want to keep this, you know, at the top of your inbox, or you'll say something nice, knowing you, which is, and then CC me, and then I can follow up. I believe I have a bike ride coming up with Michael, so I can, but ping him again, you know, either today or tomorrow or Monday or whenever you think is appropriate. So
I'm just thinking we had the call, so it's like a
Yeah.
little heads up by the email. Hey, had the
yeah,
call.
right.
Hope you can
Yeah.
give us a report on this.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear.
Yeah,
A good excuse.
So
That's
forward it again, CC
a
me.
couple weeks.
I will, you know, I've made a lot of friends. They know I'm not like a paid entity and just advocating for this. So
Thank you. Great.
happy to. But that's why we have these calls, and I'm doing something similar to this in Boxford, you know, because I mean, once we get so there's 20 towns in the Bordered Boston Trail. Once we get these 3 towns, at least in progress, I mean, at least you guys are on the tip, you know, we really have got a regional trail that's coming together that's going to be connecting to New Hampshire and Maine. So, and then once the Mystic River Bridge gets done, which will take a few years, so they
So
say
the
this,
most,
yeah, sorry.
oh, go ahead. That's fine.
But they say this trail building work is great therapy for the fanatical optimist because it takes so long. So, but you know, I guess, you know, working at a cancer hospital where people are getting bad news every day, this is light. This is light lifting.
I'll let the committee members speak too, but you know, just a couple of updates to share with all of you. Go ahead, Sid.
Yes, Sid Raschke. I'm on the Coastal Trails Coalition with Sean and Jerry, and have recently moved to Byfield. Well, recently, it's 6 years now, but I was talking with a friend from Georgetown who is very involved in other things. She loves the rail trails and had no idea that there was a committee in Georgetown that handles the rail trails and that it could use more support. So that might be something, you know, not in this meeting, but something for us to tackle, maybe having a joint community meeting. And Jerry can tell you how useful getting constituents together from different groups really works, because our Garrison Bridge, that was from start to finish very quick, but we were always keeping all the towns and officials together in a discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the Coastal Trails Coalition that he set up is a model for getting stuff done. You know, it's even, so I agree. Like sometimes combining a couple of different towns together can be better. So,
I think it's a great suggestion.
yeah.
That's, yeah. Oh, quick thing,
Chris.
Jim, if you
Yeah,
don't mind.
go ahead.
And then,
Not at all. Go
just
for
a
it.
segue of, it was just to sort of publicly, you know, share what's been shared by email, but the grant award that the town received from Coastal Trails Coalition, and many of you that I'm looking at right now, is fantastic. And just Annie and Dave, I don't know if I did share that with you. I can't remember, but the town just accepted a $10,000 grant from Coastal Trails Coalition to specifically work on the right-of-way legal steps needed for our Byfield segment. And that absolutely is exactly what you were describing, which is a catalyst to the town, and the select board accepted that just Tuesday night this week to say, here we go, here's the next step. Now you go. And that was just very much appreciated, and will be very instrumental in moving that component of the work forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry. Again, I don't want to, your thank yous are going to go over a dozen, but keep going. All right, Jim,
Yeah.
then I have
Yeah.
another.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jim Dooling. I live in the Byfield section, and I actually live across the street from Martin Burns. not to do a deep dive into, whether we can get the north segment through there. But I do wonder, even if it goes at a slower pace in parallel to the south segment work, whether there's any precedent or history in other parts of the state that are maybe rural, very rural, like our section where there is state wildlife management, coexistence with a trail, abutting, whatever, something along those lines, or possibly even up just, to look at use cases either in New Hampshire or Maine, where that same issue might come up, albeit, different state
that's a
entities.
great point, because hunting's not every day and it's seasonal.
And it's at, it is very concentrated. I'm in there several times a week, and there is the pheasant hunting. They release the pheasants. It's highly concentrated then, but it is, there are times where I don't see one person in there, and most of the time, if I see someone, it's someone bird watching or hiking, more so than people who are using the shooting range there. So I just wanted to bring that up, that might be something, where we can start dipping our toes into, trying to have a discussion without, managing that carefully, because obviously it can stir up reactions. So
Kristen and Annie, Jerry, this is something I'll ask Pete Sutton. He would likely know about that in the state of Massachusetts. So,
well, we had a go around a couple of years ago now with Mass Fish and Wildlife, and it was they had all their guns out. Let's just say
no pun intended.
They were shooting at everything. So it's a very intransigent. And I'm a long time hunter. I really do think there's hunting all along the Salisbury Trail, and it can coexist with wise hunters, and it's really no issue. But that's not what the Mass Fish and Wildlife people think. So that's it would require a state level, governor level bashing of two departments heads together to say that. And I know there's the section of trail, I think, on the Mass Central Trail that does go through a wildlife management area. So there's plenty of precedents if you want to look at them.
We can ask Craig Della Penna that, so we can get more information on this.
Yeah. I mean, they were very adamant a few years ago, right? I remember that, Jerry. Obviously, I would think this governor, lieutenant governor, would be more sympathetic, but I don't know. Is anybody?
I don't think anyone tested that. Also, there's a move now to open Sunday to hunting too. So
there is.
That's something that's the governor's supporting, I believe. So
she is, So I realize it's, there's a history and it's a bit of an uphill battle, but I guess I would love to not completely give up on it.
It's such a perfect trail.
I think it'd be a fabulous trail to go through there.
It really is. As the crow flies, it's a direct shot to the train station.
And
that's that's a card to play, because now in Newburyport, because of the parking, at the Newburyport train station, there's waves of people that come up from Michaels and Newburyport Center, walking, biking, whatever, to take the train, because the trail ends right at the what do they call it when you get on the trail?
Platform.
The platform. Sorry.
Right.
It's at the platform.
Platform.
The other thing is that, National Grid, right? The right of way, that is the right of way. So it would seem to be,
Well, I think the last
another
time
factor.
we brought this up with MassDOT, they thought it would derail the whole project to go this, that it was too difficult to get through the state. So I guess the question I have with this group is this something could be a sort of a separate conversation? We keep pushing for the trail but we trying to figure out a side way to have this conversation, with the powers that be, with the governor, lieutenant governor separately.
Well, it really is two projects for us. The trail coming up from Georgetown will end in Byfield. All this stuff is on the other side of 95, and that's a separate project. We're calling it Byfield North or Newbury North.
Yeah.
So you know, in terms of efforts, I don't think one would derail the other, but probably could measure in miles the length that we would save by if we could build a bridge over the highway and drop through Martin Burns.
Right.
It's
You know, I believe that the cost of building a trail alongside 95 would be equal to or exceed the cost of a bridge over 95, because that's about a mile going through, you know, not easy country.
Yeah.
And
That's a good point.
and one bridge is one problem, but the rest of that is all along the right of way.
my fear in that, Jerry, is that piece that goes over the Whittier Bridge. We are literally a Jersey barrier away from a 4-lane highway. I don't know if you've ridden that piece.
Oh, sure.
To cross the river on the Whittier Bridge.
Yeah, it gets very little use because of that.
Yeah, well, it's exposed to the sun, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, but I've always thought of that as if that's how we're going to get north from Byfield, that's not very attractive. It would just be it would be more for commuters than for recreation. And I as opposed to if we could build 100 yards into the woods and run alongside the highway, you know, before that, whatever that swath of land is that's the state owned. But again, the engineers haven't even started, right, Kristen?
No, the latest on that, which is just taken forever. But the town has signed off on our standard contract form with the state. So now the state, now we're waiting for the state's authorized signature, which I was told last week could take 4 weeks. Soon as we get that, Kittleson can begin work, is my understanding.
So on those other options, have there been feasibility studies done?
No, that's what this project is that we're talking about. And it is this is that federal earmark that Dave and Annie got for the town, which we originally were going to use in the Byfield segment.
Under contract, right, by last year. Got it.
Yeah. So we did our RFQ last summer, got the consultant on board in September, and it's been this long working through the contracting paperwork.
Really?
Grateful.
Yes. And we're not quite there yet, but all of these things, I think it is a feasibility study, and it should look at, cost comparisons between options and pull in the partners. And it's part of why I think the intention was there are a lot of options, and we need to get all the partners thinking about the options now. So then once we agree, off we go. Right. So I guess that was the envisioning of this effort. And we do have, our contract on that is 260 something with the engineering firm and the consultant facilitation, but we still have some money. We have up to 312,000 on that earmark funding with the state match. So there's a little money for whatever comes out of that work that we need in a next phase. And then hopefully sort of off we go with full design.
Okay, that sounds good. One thing when that is ready or at any point, because I mentioned doing a meeting like this in Boxford, they wanted to hold a public meeting and see, similar slides. I'll probably, add or take some off, but I would be willing to do something like that for, Newbury, Byfield, Georgetown, or just and answer any questions about it. Advertise it just to, because I realize I'm preaching to the choir here, and thank God we have a choir with you folks. But I think that getting more people involved, new residents, with kids that want their kids to be able to bike. So in other words, I'd be willing to do a public presentation in a hall at some point, if that helps.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. They're definitely, I think the stop and go on this for Newbury, and those of you especially who live in Byfield have more of a venue on this than I do, a view on this than I do, but we've lost people. Like even 2 years ago, I had when the wetlands flagging was being done, I had people calling me saying, "Oh, what's going on?" And and then nothing really happens for a year. And so I think the support is out there, and I think as soon as we're at that point of really elevating the engagement, I think and hope the town will see the value. And I also should just say, I definitely am keeping the getting from Byfield to the train station as kind of I think locally that's important that we keep people talking about it, because there are options in terms of just getting north. But I think for Newbury to be checking all our boxes of the value that this kind of trail brings, I think that sort of commuting value and like you described, Dave, people coming to Newbury and then being able to come to our assets, see our common pasture, see our, lovely convenience store and, artwork and all that kind of stuff. It goes in both directions.
Totally agree. Most people use the trail really not for long distance biking, but that's most people use the trail to walk their dogs or go for a walk. But there are people who want to, I bike from Topsfield 40 miles and I take the train back to Beverly. It's a great ride. And it's so interesting because you're in urban environments and urban that have water on both sides. It's a fascinating ride. And I think letting the people of Newbury and Byfield and Georgetown know, I would be happy to do that because I've heard it all. So, and I, don't have any,
We did do a quick update at town meeting this year, so we're trying to keep it out there, keep a presence out there.
yeah. Yeah, you got to keep it on. Like Kristen mentioned, you can lose people, but let's plan something maybe for the fall or next spring or something like that. And
Well, when we do sort of kick off this project with Kittleson Consultants, who, as you may know, but one of the main project managers lives in Newburyport and is very involved in local trails. And I think some folks on Weston and Sampson, which are the engineering firm, also live locally. So anyway, that there will be public meetings as a part of that. So we'll definitely
we could maybe
hook you guys in.
We could
That would be
talk
awesome.
about the feasibility study, what they've come up in the public meetings, and I could give a more regional overview about what's happened, what's possible. Literally trails that people said would never be built are being used now. So,
Right.
And by then the Mystic River Bridge could be under construction, and those are going to be great photos to show. So.
I think the thing that really needs to be done though to get we have a project on the tip. We're at a critical point of, dealing with the final issues of right of way and a few items that don't have any funding, and focusing on that, we'll actually get something on the ground soon.
Yeah.
So I think that to me that's the first priority.
Right. Yeah.
Be the bird in the hand, get it.
Yeah. Show that. I totally agree. Yeah. Show them something.
There's millions committed to the project, and it just needs a little bit of help to get it to that point of construction.
We have, we should hear about the Mass Trails Grant. I think late June or July is when those grant awards are announced. But yeah, yes, I agree, Jerry.
So Jerry,
and Dave, you should know if you're going to be talking to Trepanier, that Newberry and Georgetown both applied for Mass Trails grants that could help fill this gap that's shown in the letter
Yeah.
that we just sent. So that's one alternative to help solve the problem. Another would be if Mass Highway makes some other changes, but something needs to happen soon, or this will not be on schedule.
Yeah.
I
So
have a
let's,
question for Jerry. Jerry, I think that this is should be the main item for the CTC agenda next month.
Sure. Good.
One of the main items.
Yeah, good.
Okay. I'll get that over to Elizabeth.
yeah. So, Kristen, let them know that you're waiting, and ping them again and say that, the letter was brought up again at your local meeting, your local trail meeting, and we're just waiting for a response. What are the next steps? You word it nicely, but
Yeah.
and then when I see Michael, then I'm gonna talk to him about it. So.
Good.
And I can tell you, so Annie and I know this. When it was, I think, a Friday that the planner in Swampscott, Marzi, saw that the Swampscott Trail had fallen off the tip. It was like not on the tip list. And it was like Paul Revere's ride, oneth by land, twice by sea. And I was at the airport on a flight to Vietnam for work. And Annie and I were going back on email. And over the next week, we got over 100 advocacy letters to Mass DOT. And then 2 weeks later, it was back. The project was back on the tip. So they do listen to that stuff, advocacy.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've got millions of people, there are lots of balls in the air. So you got to keep their attention on your ball.
Be
That's
no-
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be
Yeah, and
noisy.
it also helps them. It helps like, well, I made the decision to fund, Newbury Byfield because I got all of these letters of support,
Right.
and no one can, it actually helps them rather than someone say, oh, this is an expensive trail and the population is low or whatever. But, we can get those letters. We can get them from the East Coast Greenway, Essex Heritage, Border to Boston Trail, the other towns.
We got the politicians weighing in on
Yeah.
that one to not
Right.
drop it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to run. I'm sorry, but lovely
Yeah,
to see
thank you.
everybody.
And he
Nice
has an impressive Rolodex of the
Yeah,
folks.
that's great.
certainly
Thanks
try.
so
But this
much,
is-
Annie.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thanks. I'm
Thank
glad
you, Annie.
Thank you.
fun.
But anyway, happy to help in any way. I'll chime in on waiting on the letter. I'm happy to do a public meeting on this. I'll mention it to Michael and we'll just keep nudging it. But this is really, as much a pep talk to you guys. We'll see what the feasibility study shows and the amounts of money, and that'll give you, it's always great to have an external consultant because that gives you validation and justification for the route that you choose and why. So. And also, you guys don't know the exact price of each option either. So this will help. So chin up.
Yeah. Thanks, David.
Thanks so much.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I am happy to help. I'm close by, can come in person with, love to meet you guys. Jerry and I are on the trail circuit on the North Shore, so there's a lot happening up here, and we don't want you guys to lose your piece of the pie either. So
Correct.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna go and let you guys approve your minutes and talk about other stuff.
Thanks,
But
Dave.
listen, I'll
Nice to
see
see
you
you.
on the 8th.
Great.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Dave. Did you have any other updates, Kristen?
No,
Or we all
I
worked
think
everything in? Yeah.
yeah, I think I got them in. Yeah.
I made a little note, as a committee, we could also send a letter, one of these push letters to get the response to the letter if you want. The probably first one should come from you, but if you want that to come from us, then we could talk about that. Could think about that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to draft something that, lists all the residents' names, whether there's no reason that wouldn't be good, but I think we're owed at least a response. So, you know what I mean? Like, hopefully they're mulling it over and will get back to us. Again, it's not a roadblock, but just among us here, it's just really tricky working with Georgetown, because it's just like, it's not just me who can be like, I'm just going to call, it's like, well, I should check in with Frank and have a conversation about it. And that takes, it's just sort of a sensitivity to how the project is formed. And anyway, maybe I think about that too much, and just need to like.
If you take the leadership, he will follow.
Yeah.
And I think you just need to call Joe Yu and ask him. He seems very positive toward, helping. And I think you need to give him a reason to, go forward. And he'll help you. And you don't risk anything, except if you wait, then you do risk things.
No, and the waiting is due to the fact that I do this on Fridays. Really, it really is. It's just the proactive component is just tricky. Yeah. But we're there. We're doing, I will keep doing my best.
Good.
Thank you. Quick question. Maybe, Jerry, you could react to this. I know when we were talking, or Kristen also, you were considering, I think, establishing a boundary somewhere along the Byfield to Georgetown Trail where you could manage the funding separately from Georgetown. Is that kind of what we're talking about here?
No, I don't understand what you're saying.
So I think one of the obstacles that was identified in the letter was that the billing and reimbursement issue between Newbury and Georgetown was one of the factors that was getting in the way of moving this project forward. Is that, have I got that right? Or
yes, but it seems like it's been straightened out at this point.
Okay, so Georgetown is being more cooperative, so that is true. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's all we need.
It's not completely straightened out. I will just say it is still complicated and slows things down. And right now the issue is that John Hendrickson, who is this main engineer, is retired. So there's documentation that Stantec is required to submit to Georgetown to submit to MassDOT before we get reimbursed for the work that was done last year. And it's just, there's been 10 or more emails about this. And that's the kind of stuff that is tricky.
You're waiting on Stantec to do something?
Yes, they have some kind of previous documentation of the wetlands work that was done a year and a half ago.
Okay, well, and who's taking over for him? Is it Elise Donofrio?
She is the one who I saw an email from most recently, but there's a bunch of people.
She's a can-do person.
Yeah.
So I would, if she's on the list, I would call her and ask her what's happening.
Yep. She's on the list. She said she'd look into it, and I haven't heard anything for a week and a half. So that's just the time that, things take, I think.
She was always, she made the trains run on time on some of our projects. And Hendrickson was sort of a distant, boss, sort of. She was the one who made things happen. So I think that she would be good to
and there was the holiday in between. So I think now is a good time to reach out then.
Yeah.
People getting back to their desks and things like that.
Yes. I followed up yesterday, so I'll let you know. I do think, I'm not at all intending to sound like people are not doing their best. I'm sharing that there are still cumbersome accounting issues, to your question, Sean, that are just hard. They're just complicated, and it's, it is hard to understand what needs doing and who needs to do it. And, that just takes people a while because of the many entities involved.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're still pushing it forward. I'm sure we're now on a deadline of, we need that reimbursement before the end of the fiscal year. And that's what the accountants are particularly concerned about. So.
Well, okay, so I don't want to press this too much, but let me ask you, is this something that, do you think that if we could make some kind of separate arrangement for the town of Newbury directly with, say, Mass DOT, or I'm not even quite sure who we would be dealing with directly, but whoever that entity is, and sort of avoid the issue of being involved with Georgetown on this? Would that be something that would be worth bothering with, or should we just at this point say, you know what, the heck of it, we're going to learn whatever the system is and just take advantage of that and just push this thing through? I guess, yeah.
Well, the grants for Mass Trails that we submitted in February were written distinctly for each town. So if that funding is awarded, we will have our own pot of money to push forward on our own segment of the work. So I think that will go in the direction you're describing, Sean. There's still money in the pot for the joint project that will still exist.
Right. So so we're not looking for a structural change in that. We're looking just to make it somehow flow a little more efficiently. And not for nothing, we're going to get a grant from Mass Trails, hopefully. Okay. Just to summarize. All right.
Yeah, that money will be Newbury's to pay our contracted work directly. Yeah. We won't be going through Georgetown if we receive that grant.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'll just leave it there. I did have a conversation with somebody who talked about how you would go about constructing that division between the two towns on this. But if I don't want to complicate it by going through all that, so let's just proceed with what we're doing. It seems like perhaps the most expedient thing to do is just to follow the current method we have and just do the best we can on our side, whatever. Yeah. Okay, good. All right.
I can circle back with you, Sean, if that's helpful to think about a different structure. We can talk.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So Kristen, you don't need anything from us at this point. We'll wait and we'll get a status report from you as we'll see how this little feeler letter goes along.
Yeah, the meeting that Annie was talking about is that regional meeting that I think at least maybe Sean, you attended, or maybe John.
I've been to one before. It usually is invigorating.
Yeah, and it's on Zoom. So if all of you want me to share that link, and if you're available, I think it's Monday, June 8th.
And one thing about that meeting is that the higher ups of MassDOT are there, so it gives an opportunity to just ask them questions. So
even if we don't say anything, the more of us that are there will show that there's a constituency that's which is always what they like to see.
Right.
Do we have a general ballpark a week for June when we're meeting?
Let's see. I'm not sure if we talked about it other than, I do think we talked about the last Thursdays of the month, right?
Yep, we did.
Which is where we are.
Yep.
So June 25th, Thursday, June 25th is. Do you guys want to switch to evening and try to be in person, or are people generally still good with the noon Thursday thing?
Either works for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say either works for me as well.
Yeah, same here. Whatever works, yeah.
I have a meeting that I am going to in the evening that day, June 25. But the rest of the day is clear.
Oh, good, good.
Well, why don't we just plan on Zoom again then?
Okay.
It does
Noon?
work. Yeah. So June
Okay.
25th. Yeah, and Kristen, if you could send that link out, I agree with Sid that maybe if 4 or 5 people show up from Newbury.
Yep.
Safety in numbers, or it might be a good show.
Yeah, that's great. I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Is this the same? This is the same regional meeting as the one that was later in March. So it's the next quarterly. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I had gone to the one in the fall and it was fabulous. I mean, it just everybody had something going on. There was no whining. It was very factual, and it was just everybody, there's people all over the place working on this. It was I got a charge out of it.
Nice.
All right, do we want to move on to the minutes then, and let's we can wrap this up?
Yep.
Yep.
Has everybody reviewed the minutes?
Yes.
Someone want to make a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second it.
Second. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Aye.
Okay. So we get the 28th. What can we do to make Kristen feel like we're all behind her?
No, I do. I wish I had like more concrete things for you to
it hurts me when you say that's what I do on Fridays is work on this. That's not fair. But
well, I am a resident too, so I don't mind.
You're going to cut the ribbon. Trust me.
This is good stuff.
Yeah. I'm working on the big pair of scissors for you to cut the ribbon.
So I think just
yeah.
having that conversation with David, just that alone, made me feel a lot better about what's going on. Like someone that has that kind of attitude, and it was big from my end.
Yeah, he's terrific. He really is. And everybody knows and respects him and likes him. He's got it. And Annie has lots of connections. So that was a very, very good meeting to have.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Just as kind of a head up, when we do start to hear back from the consultants on the Byfield North Trail, Byfield to Newburyport Trail, maybe we can invite the Georgetown folks to join us just to sit in on that and find out, because for them to get a clearer understanding that, this is going through, this will connect their town to Newburyport in almost a direct shot. Can't hurt.
True.
Just, yeah.
Well, I talked recently to the chair of the Georgetown Trail Committee, and they approved $440,000 to go toward right-of-way costs for their Georgetown South thing. So that clearly is on track, which is that's going to be a big catalyst getting people excited there. But she also said that the selectmen had told her that they wanted to disband their trail committee and have the selectmen take on responsibility for the trail to the north. And I don't know how to read that. It sounded weird to me.
I think so.
So I think it would be good to have more contact with them and with the residents, not just the planner. Just to find out really what's going on there, because whatever, and And she also said, which was very interesting to me, that National Grid owns the right of way north for the north part of the Georgetown Trail, that they don't have the same, reversion problem there, which I was surprised to hear. So I'm thinking that sounded like very good news. Would make it easy to move forward because all they need to do is have a lease from National Grid. But it would be interesting it'll be very interesting when you get your council to start looking at this, Kristen, just to really get your hands on how big an issue it is for Newbury, the right of way.
Yeah, that's consistent with, to the extent I've heard anything, I knew that their south segment had different issues than what they thought their north segment had, and that they've just been focused on the south segment.
Yeah, they've always regarded that as more important to the town because it connects to more things, higher priority. So, it makes me concerned that they may turn their back on this section, but I don't know. So I think the more contact you have, the better, just to see what's happening.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
All right. So I'll keep shooting any updates out in between meetings for sure. And likewise, feel free to send me questions or thoughts anytime.
Duke.
I appreciate all of you cheering and just the work as well.
All right,
Yeah.
motion to adjourn?
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, hang in there, Kristen.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you all. See ya.